Somebody's relationship. Oh, okay, all right, I'll send it.
I would have said it third.
I'm trying to get here, but late. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it tightens up a relationship after a while. That's my boy.
Good afternoon. Shall we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. Remind everyone to turn your phones off, please. Call the meeting to order. Call the meeting to order. Proof of notice, John.
Yes, Ed, as per your documents in Florida statute, notice was posted.
Roll call.
Yes, sir. Bill Heidenreich,
Here.
Eileen Dunn,
Here.
Rick Agler,
Here.
Donna Mosier,
Here.
Barry Burgess,
Here.
Lemay Knifer, here, and Ed Wayner.
Here. Okay. Reading and disposal of the previous minutes.
Move that he adopted.
Second.
Okay, we have two sets of minutes, so I think we have to do those individually. Okay, we have two sets of minutes. The first set would be from the last meeting as of March 15th. And then we have the organizational meeting of April 3rd.
My motion was for March 15th.
Second.
We have a motion for April 3rd. Oh, yeah, I guess we should vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, for April 3rd.
Motion to accept the minutes for April 3rd as written.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, treasurer's report.
Okay.
Motion would be in order to approve as passed out at the door, right?
As issued, yes.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I have one other thing further. Just for, and this is a board meeting, so I'm informing the board, we're still going forward converting monies from these low interest. And we got our eyes now, John and I, and Ed, have our eyes on $500,000 that will be going in shortly. Part of it coming out of the operating figure. We figured that figure, which is up around 800 some thousand. We take 400 out of that, and then another 100,000 out of below, and get that. Try to get that immediately here, and then we're going to work on the rest of the money that matches up with reserves and get that in. Thank you. And we're hoping for the last one. We got 495, and I think it was 16 months. The way the market was at that day. Was it 18 months? Okay. And but it was a 495. Our goal is 5, but you know, we have to take what we get on the market. Thank you.
Barry?
Rick, I have a question for you, Rick. Can Driftwood Village take that 42,000 they have and put it in a higher interest?
No, I can't. I am. Okay, you hit it right. It's down later in the committee reports, Driftwood funds.
Okay.
And just so, since you brought it up, we might as well dispose of it now.
Okay.
We're going to be moving that into an interest-bearing
Okay.
account designated for Driftwood.
Thank you.
Okay, managers report.
So later on in the agenda, we're talking about the seawall project. The concrete work on the far side has been completed. That looks very nice. We were finally able to open that lower gate on the shuffleboard side. Maintenance staff's been focused on sprinkler operation, landscaping, and leaf cleanup. We've just been working over on the pump house there near Rick's house, and we've got some more work going on over there. Also, since we're talking about maintenance staff, you'll notice there's 2 red shirts in the room. The reason I love to put people on the spot, Clyde. Clyde's going to be leaving us soon. He's retired and moving off to greener pastures, and at most, we've got him for 1 more meeting if he lasts that long. So, Clyde, thanks for everything. We appreciate it, buddy, in case you don't make it to the next meeting. The stump grinding proposal that was approved is completed over in Oaks Park. It looks very nice over there. Our guys are, Mark, are we done? Or most of the people that live there and go down Ponderosa can see straight through to the water. There's no obstructions now. Looks very nice. The pond treatment contract was approved with the the existing vendor that we had. They've already, I think, so that was approved a month ago. I think they're already treated it twice since then. They may have treated it 3 times. And is John in the room? Like, we see him walking now and treating some of the areas that weren't being treated before. So far so good. Violations for the month, total 166. New violations were 115 and resolved were 106.
Okay, moving on to the art committee.
Ed Hibbert for the art committee. We have 35 that were recommended for approval and 3 for board review. 1 out of those 3 is actually on hold. The parties are trying to resolve it prior.
Can you talk up the mic?
So 35 have been approved, 3 have disapproved, but 1 of them we've taken on hold because the parties involved have to come up with all the information which they're right in the process of doing. So we have that on hold. So there's only 2 for board review.
That is the one on Benton.
That's correct.
Did everyone get that? It's on the first page. At the very bottom, pack. Rear patio. That's being held. They're working with the two parties on that. Those are the ones that have. The star indicates ones that have not been approved, that come to us. Okay, I make a motion that we approve the 35 put for approval by the board, by the committee.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, we'll go through the other ones.
The one for Della Pina, I guess it's on Juarez Drive to paint the house. Those colors are not approved colors. They come close to some of the trim colors, but the color for the house is definitely not an approved color. So I believe that one should be denied. Do we need to make a motion that we disapprove the Juarez Drive application? 8030 Juarez Drive.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
The one on Mencher, which is a security camera. We asked for more information on that, and they took pictures and sent it to us of where the camera shines. The reason it was turned down was because they didn't get permission from their rear neighbors, but by looking at the pictures on here, it does not affect the rear neighbor at all, so I really think that should be approved. So I'm making a motion that the ones for the security cameras at 11140 Island Pine Drive, I am making a motion that that be approved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Hang on,
Hold on.
I'm just now seeing this.
Sorry, it's Nicole Mencher, and if you look at the pictures, neither picture affects the rear. She took pictures from the camera, showing us what it showed. The front camera, which we had, the committee actually had said that one was fine. The one in the back, we couldn't tell where it was facing or what it was taking, and she took a picture and sent that from that camera.
Doesn't show
We move to approve.
facing.
The third picture is the camera, that's the backyard. That last picture is one we had. We didn't know where it was facing. But if you look, you can see the fence and the pool in the backyard. That's what it's taking.
You're talking about this one here.
That camera is the one that takes the one of the pool. There's two cameras. The first camera is facing the front of the house from the garage.
There was actually more than that.
No, that one just does the driveway, mostly in the front of the house. The last picture, which should be after that one really, is the one that takes the picture of the pool and the back fence. That's where that one is monitoring. No, these are not lights, these are just cameras. Debbie, I made a motion, correct?
Yes, Rick second.
Yeah, but we're seconded.
Okay, well,
Any questions?
did we visit this site? Did we visit this site?
No, we asked for pictures to be from the cameras. That's what we have pictures of.
Okay.
Call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Yeah,
Okay,
one more.
8211 Palencia Drive. This has been,
The homeowner is to provide another color to try and meet the requirements. Is that correct, Ed?
Yes.
That's where we are on that one. So at this point,
That's just.
It's not approved.
Do we need to vote on that?
Well, I think we need to disapprove it at the time, where you have to do a certain time, or it's automatically approved, right?
When they submit it.
It can come back in for.
Yeah, it can be
submitted again
resubmitted.
with
At this
new
time,
cover.
though, I move that it be disapproved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay,
Thank you, Ed.
thank you, Ed. John?
What was the decision on the one on Ben?
That is being held. They're talking to both neighbors and trying to get that resolved.
All right, we have the budget committee. Patty?
Good afternoon. Patricia French Weislick for the Budget Committee, 13806-7024. I'd like to start by thanking the members of the Budget Committee for their hard work and for Rick as the board liaison and John as the manager. We were able, with everyone's cooperation, to do this budget in 2 meetings. So we're very happy about that. Most of the things that were changed are in the reserves, and they are set out for you specifically, and they pertain to repairs or purchases that reflect their current costs. The others were just done by rate of inflation. The good news is there is no increase in the dues for the senior community or Driftwood, or the family communities. It was close, but we have to use the formula that came out of the lawsuit. And while it was close, we're not allowed to round up. So there won't be a dollar increase to them this year. It will remain as it is. That's it. Oh, can I say one more thing?
Sure.
I want to talk to the people behind us in case they don't understand how this works. The board is acknowledging the budget at this point, and then postcards will be sent out with 2 weeks' notice of when the budget will come up before the board for discussion and hopefully approval. So even though you might be voting today, you're not voting on this budget. So I just want folks behind us to be clear on that. Thank you.
Question?
Patty, what does UOL mean?
I don't have my glasses.
It says pool deck use
Use
of
of
life.
life.
Patty,
Yes. Question?
did we allow for the extra tax accounting?
No, that is not in this.
What's that?
Can't hear you.
Got this on? Okay. Now? Okay. Did we allow for the extra accounting?
No,
Tax from the Spectrum check?
we were advised by the treasurer and the manager that that will be a separate line item or separate account. So it has not been created yet. It will be.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Patty?
Thank you. Thank you, Patty. Thanks
Thank
for
you,
the
Patty.
committee.
Did you have something, Rick?
No, I don't, I'm not sure whether we formally accept the budget for review from the committee. Do we need to do that, or is it automatically? Automatic, okay, thank you.
It'll be noted.
It's in the minutes, so that's, thank you.
Okay, committee reports. Driftwood funds, we just talked about that, right? Yes, Barry?
There was one other thing that I just happened to think about in regards to that. We can't transfer all of that, or we won't have anything to operate with by stamps or whatever.
Mr. President,
Yes, Rick?
basically, we've set it up to transfer 40,000 into the CDs, and I think there's a $2,800 balance or so
whatever it is, the balance is kept in a checking account that you can use.
And what happens if we fall below the 2,800? Do we cash one of those in, or what happens?
We could always loan it to you.
You what?
We could always loan you money until the CD gets in, so we'll work that out when we get there.
I can
If
do
you,
that.
but,
Okay.
but if you have something in mind, we're all the time trying to work out a cash flow plan. And John's working on it again because we're looking now on our CDs, when do we need to have them come up? You know, because we don't want to put them in 18-month CDs and find out 6 months later we got to have them.
Okay.
So if you know of anything coming up and approximately, doesn't have to be exact, like a budget planning, we would put that into a cash flow plan. Thank you.
Debbie?
This address to Treasurer John, we have to have two motions. One I need somebody we have to remove the current authorized signers on that Wells Fargo account. And then we have to make a motion for you to be the authorized sign, otherwise Wells Fargo will not close out that account
The, what?
for Driftwood.
I so move. That easy?
Yeah.
I think you need to say what the motion is. People cannot hear.
I'm sorry. Debbie didn't have her mic on. Basically, we need a mic, a motion to remove the Driftwood money out of the Wells Fargo account and dissolve that account. And it needs to be approved by the board. And second, well, then I'll do a second motion.
Rick, that's not correct, because we don't want to close that account. We need that account to have the $2,800 in it.
Right.
Right, this is the money market account that currently has 40,000.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify, I don't want to close that account.
No.
I'll correct my motion to read for the $40,000 in a separate account. Thank you. I'll be closed.
I need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you, Barry.
Okay, and then the second motion was for, John, did you have something?
Yeah, I think she needs the second motion to change the signers on the checking account for Driftwood.
I make a motion that the signers for Driftwood be changed on the checking account.
Debbie, do we need to know who it's changed to?
Yes,
Yeah,
treasurer.
we have to name the
That
signers.
named in the motion?
It's gotta be in the minutes. The bank wants to see the new signatures in the
Okay.
minutes.
Who is on there now? Is Barry on it? Who else?
Debbie is the
I make a
president.
motion that we put Rick Agler as a signer and keep Debbie.
No.
No?
No, Debbie does not want to be on there.
Then who?
Lisa wants to be on there.
Do we know Lisa's last name?
Martino.
Martino.
Lisa, what is it?
Martino.
Martino.
Lapino? Okay. As signers for the Driftwood checking account.
Lisa's the committee chairman on the Driftwood committee. And I think we talked about adding Debbie as well, didn't we, Debbie? So
Do
that
we have a second?
I am one.
She's asking if our board treasurer should be a signer, but he already is on the motion, so.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second? John, a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Can I have a moment? I just, we have to deal with banks, and we have to do the bank rules. The banks want a specific name, unfortunately, on it. And I know it'd be easier for us to say the treasurer, leave it go, and it changes, but the banks want a specific name, so that's why. And every bank can be different.
Okay, it's the start of the new year. We have new committee assignments. The committees will be posted. If you are interested in serving on a committee, please sign up. If you're currently serving on a committee and you would like to continue on that committee, please sign up. And we would like to thank all the current committee members for their service and the good job that they've done.
Mr. President,
Yes.
I would like to make a motion that we temporarily approve the old committees until the next meeting, so they have authority to do anything, because we're not really going to appoint committees till the next meeting. So I'd like to do a motion to appoint them, the current committees temporary until our next board meeting.
Aren't they already on, they are our current board members, they are our current committee members until they're replaced.
We went through that in my administration where people would challenge that, it ended when the board changed and they didn't appoint. So I was just trying to cover the base, that's all.
Okay, do we have a second?
Seconded.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, engineering services. Update on the seawall project, John?
So we progressed, the contractor had submitted the application for the permit with Pasco County. And we just finally this week got their updated proposal, which is 37,000 and some change. And they're waiting for it to see if the board approves that proposal or not. In the interim, and Ed, I don't know how much detail you want me to give or how much you might want to talk about it, but in the interim, I got a verbal quote from the contractor that did the foam injection, who thinks that we don't need a new wall, that we could survive very well with the foam injection, and that price is in the neighborhood of $8,000.
And what about the county?
The county, it didn't matter to the county as far as what we were doing, whether we installed a new wall, didn't install a new wall, new foam, et cetera. They were going to work and attach to whatever we have for them, whether they get there before we do something, after we do something. They're very flexible with us.
You want to explain what they're going to do?
So the county, they haven't given us a timeline, but they have accepted the responsibility for that storm drain pipe that comes from the street. I believe that's Timber Lane. From Timber Lane, there's an inlet on Timber Lane that comes down along the edge of the parking lot that Timber Oaks owns and borders that first property. Once the length of that and dead ends it used to dead end into the pond. It's now about 6 feet short. And it's washing out the area behind our seawall and behind that first homeowner seawall. So they're going to come in, they're going to excavate that area, they're going to replace the pipe, and they're going to cut out the last 4 feet or so of our bad wall and replace it with a penetration of the new pipe through the wall.
It's county.
So is this county, what they're replacing, is that consistent with this proposal for 37,000? Or is that not take that into account?
It takes it into account.
Okay. Rick?
Well, but I think right now we're at a questionable period where you're saying that the person who did our foam injection has made a proposal of approximately 8,000, but hasn't now formal into us, that he feels that would repair and take care of instead of this 37,000.
Right.
I my own feelings and discussion, am I allowed to talk discussion? Is that we should table this and look into that proposal, and if it's satisfactory, I mean, you're talking $29,000 difference here. And, I'd just as soon save the 29,000 if we think we can get a satisfactory project out of that $8,000 or $9,000 development.
My understanding on this is this has gone up $10,000, the proposal from Nichols. when we were actually asking them to do less?
I think the previously approved price was like 29,200, something close to 29,000.
Okay, you're talking about doing the foam injection, and that should take care of the problem, so we would not have to do anything with our part of the wall, since the county is fixing the part of the wall that was the worst. Correct. Okay, has this gone by our engineer?
I think the engineer would recommend the new wall.
What Nichols is proposing, rather than the foam injection? I think we need to get that straightened out before we go any further. I mean, I'm all for saving $29,000, but let's do it right.
Eileen, you have something?
Did the county give any indication when they were gonna do their part?
They have not. They haven't.
What impact will that have on us, them not doing it? Usually for a long time.
It's got more of an impact on the neighbor, that first residence. It's not really getting any worse for Timber Oaks, but it's getting worse quickly with that first homeowner.
Before they get to that road.
I make a motion, we table this proposal until we get further information. Thank you.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. New business. Board meeting calendar for the upcoming year. Looks like it's the third Wednesday of every month. We have to approve this.
I think the only thing we ever worried about was what, summer 4th of July weekend, but we don't have that since we're going the third Wednesday, so I'd make a motion that we approve.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Fines and suspension.
Sorry, that's me. I move to fine the owner of 8034 Los Alamos Drive, $50 per day for maintenance that is in violation of Toxis covenants up to $5,000.
We have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Discussion.
Discussion?
I can't tell anything from the picture.
If you look along the front wall, you will see all of the mildew mold that's along that front wall up to about 3 feet.
All right, thank you.
Okay, call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
I move to fine the owner of 11522 Forest Run Court, $50 per day for maintenance that is in violation of Toxis covenants up to $5,000.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
I move to fine the owner of 8621 Winding Wood Drive, $50 per day. Oh, wait a minute, I skipped one. I move to fine the owner of 10841 Casa Grande Avenue, $50 per day for vehicles that is in violation of Toxis covenant up to $5,000.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
I move to fine the owner of 8621 Winding Wood Drive, $50 per day for architectural control that is in violation of Toxis covenants up to $5,000.
Second.
Yes.
We went through this last meeting. I was here in March.
Yep.
You agreed to let me have the camera up as long as the light was off.
No, we did not. Nobody ever agreed to that.
No, we
We disapproved.
No.
Yes.
We have people here that heard the same thing. Was anybody here that heard the same thing? Right? As long as the light was off, you agreed to let me keep the camera.
And is the light on?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you let the office know that?
We agreed right here. I sent an email, but it was blocked.
Your email was blocked?
Yes, ma'am, to the board. My wife-
If you wish to speak, please come to the
You have to
microphone.
get up to the mic.
I have the first, email on my phone saying, why are you sending me this? So you must. I
Okay,
have a
use the mic.
problem. I have a problem when, I decide to send an email because I don't like to go in the office because it's always other talk with John about other things other than that, what I want to get resolved. I'm trying to resolve this. So I sent an email and I said, I don't understand why we're getting fined because you said at the meeting that my husband was here and I wasn't, that he could have it with the light off and he agreed to it. And I do have the email, but it should have went to you. And now I'm trying to figure out now if I send an email or I first used to give you letters and I said to the board only. And last time I went in, John opens it and I said, I wanted to go to the board. So I'm kind of confused are you in charge or is John in charge? Because I thought you people decide and I go in the office and it never gets to you or I don't know. But then I sent an email, the same thing. John replied, something different that was not what was said. So I'm confused.
I'm confused about the light. Is the light still there?
The light is still there and at this other meeting,
The light is part of the camera.
a light is part of the camera system. We had a light previous to it. I went in the office, I said, I'm gonna get the Ring system. And I bought the light, it's $150, put it up and took our other light down that came with the house. And that's when the whole problem started. So then, I don't know, I'm still trying to figure out who is opposing this. Is it the neighbor next door he's a snowbird opposing it because he's only there part of the year? And I don't understand why we can't have a light when he's not there. I don't understand the whole situation for fining us.
Well, you can't have a light shining in your neighbor's bedroom.
Right, but it wasn't shining in his bedroom, and then he just put up a bulb light that has a light on it. He keeps changing all the time. He had one shining in my bathroom. Now he bought a bulb light, changed that, and now he's recording me, and he has this bulb turning around with a camera. So now I'm scared to open my bathroom
This doesn't
window.
have anything to do with the issue,
I'm
please.
sorry.
Stick with the issue.
Well, the issue was, he's supposed to just keep the light off, so that's what my husband agreed to, and then I wrote the letter. I don't know if he got the letter through the email. Then I tried to, do a second one, and it shot back to me and never, after John answered it, I couldn't even talk anymore.
Okay.
So, that's where we're at. I'm trying to resolve it.
So at this point, the issue is the light. As long as you keep the light off, it won't go to fining.
Right. And I
If you turn the light back on, it's gonna go right to fining.
right,
You're not
but what
gonna
I
get-
did.
You're not gonna get 2 weeks.
No, but what I did is I turned it off manually in the Ring. There's a part that says no light. And I did all that, but it took me a while to figure out all the ins and outs of doing it.
Okay.
But the camera is still there. And we also blocked off his window, so it's totally legal with, nothing is part of him. You know what I mean? It's only to protect our property right there.
Mr. President, do we want
Yes,
to,
Rick?
do we want to table this?
No,
Well,
let's
I'm gonna-
solve it right now.
All right, well, I don't feel we can find these people at this point.
As far as, if the light is off, then that was the main issue, so. Okay. And I move that we dismiss the fining on 8621 Winding Wood Drive unless the light would be turned back on.
Second.
Are we gonna get something in writing so we know this is?
The minutes of the meeting will reflect this.
What's that?
The minutes of the meeting will reflect it.
Okay, thank you very much.
We vote.
Chris?
Chris Dabrowski, it is county code that the light has to be working at these doors. Point of order.
This isn't at a door. This is on the side of the house.
Okay, back to the vote. Did we have a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay.
I move to find the owner of 8035 Juarez Drive $50 per day for miscellaneous, which is landscape pavers that is in violation of the Taxes covenants up to $5,000.
Do we have a second? Don, a second. All in favor, say aye.
Just a moment of discussion. Are we really, the only thing is that they're pavers around this palm tree, two of them have fallen over or something?
None of
That's
the
what the photo
pavers,
shows.
yeah, none of the pavers are correct. They're just kind of thrown around there. They had 6 weeks plus to remedy this. It's just a matter of going out there and fixing them, and no one has done that.
Okay, was there a motion? Are you ready for the vote? I'm sorry.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Carried. Okay, that takes care of fines and suspension. Next on the agenda is the hot tub proposal. We took action without a meeting on this, and we just need to approve it formally.
I move that we approve the $2,771.28 to replace the hot tub filter and to approve the action of the directors, which have all the senior village directors have signed off on this.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, county traffic study. John, you want to address this?
So a few months ago, we contacted the county to see if they would conduct a traffic study to determine if what they label as county traffic calming measures should take effect, such as speed bumps, lights, signage, et cetera. They did the study. They did find that there is enough traffic coming around the Ponderosa Loop to warrant the installation of calming devices, and they're asking the board if the board would like to proceed.
Is there any discussion? Eileen?
Why would the county not pay for it? Because that's a county road. Did you ask them?
Yeah, that's a county question, Eileen.
Ponderosa is a county road. We don't own that road. If we asked the county why they wouldn't absorb the cost.
It's a county policy.
Yeah, but that only refers to the roads that we own.
Right, I get it. That's the answer. I asked the question and that's the answer that I got.
That was their answer, huh?
Rick?
We can look into that further, but where are we proposing that they be located? I mean, that makes a difference to me. I think they're almost one in front of the clubhouse the way they go by here. But also, if you go in off of Amadira, you come in, that you turn right to come to the clubhouse and turn left. And if you turn left, they use that one, come down Ranch and cut through. I've been past there also. I'm doing the speed limits. I'm trying to make sure I do the speed limits when these people also go roaring around me. And then there's another place, they come in from 52, and some of them, most of them come down Ponderosa there and either turn at the clubhouse or zip down to the highway. So there's several locations, and I don't know which ones are being proposed.
All right, go ahead, LeMay.
John, was there a proposal from them where they would be placed? I would imagine they would need to be placed between the 3 roads that come in here and leave, because that's where they're cutting through.
The study that they did showed the highest number of traffic between La Madeira and Ranch Road. So I think they're looking at us. They think that their proposal was to come in and install temporary speed humps at no charge for a period of 6 months. And I think they'll do any number of them. I would say we would have a meeting and we would determine number and location. And I think they're just looking for the board to okay that step, so that to take the meeting and approve the temporary speed humps. If at the end of the 6 months, we have 2 options. they're either removed permanently or permanent ones that are installed at a cost to the HOA. So they're looking to take that next step to install the temporary.
My problem with this is I've been on Ponderosa when I've had motorcycles behind me or cars behind me. And if I go the speed limit, they get ticked off enough, they just go around the inside of me and onto people's yards. So I don't know how much this is gonna do, and do we want to be put up with speed bumps for 6 months, whether we pay for them or not? Also, when the police officer was here and spoke, he said a lot of times they are leery of doing that because what it does is it slows down emergency response to the people in the villages. And let's face it, we have a lot of ambulances, fire trucks coming in through here. And if I'm waiting for someone to come, I don't want them slowing down to a stop on a speed hump. So.
Well, I do live between La Madera and Ranch, and I tell you, especially at 2 o'clock, 4 to 4 o'clock in the morning, they come flying through there. I have seen guys on motorcycles popping wheelies, going all the way through there. When you're coming out of Monterey, right there, it's a disaster because people come flying through there. They will go around you just to get past there. And if you're coming out of Monterey, you're going to get slammed. So I do feel like, I know that there are spots, but I do feel like that we do need some.
Okay, Eileen?
It's definitely not just motorcycles. You got cars speeding through here. I had a guy pass me, and guess where he went? Right into San Clemente. He passed me on coming from, what's that, Branch Road, going towards Jasmine. And yeah, he went one village before me. I mean, people are crazy on that road. But the cost of those speed bumps are, I think, excessive.
Okay, can we have it quiet in the audience, please? Get a lot of background noise. Okay, Bill, you had something?
Would you please explain the cost to the people?
So the price starts, so the 6-month trial period is at no cost. If in the event we install a permanent speed humps, the price starts at $12,000 per speed hump and goes down after that.
That's $12,000 per bump. Hope you don't want too many bumps.
Go ahead, John.
But also, we're touching on a second problem that's worth mentioning here. We're talking about the dirt bikes and the motorcycles and the ATVs that are not registered to drive on the county roads. And the entire time I've been here, it's been a small problem here probably since Christmas. It's been a pretty large problem. They're causing a lot of property damage. We're desperately trying to catch them, trying to identify where they're coming from. We've got ideas. They like to come out after we think they're school age. So if you know who they are, if you can follow them to their home, we need to identify the house. A picture of the motorcycles coming and going from a residence would be very helpful to us.
The only problem we have with that is that the speed bumps, Eileen, the speed humps will not make a difference to them. They're cutting through our parks, through lawns. It doesn't matter to them. That's the only problem we have there. If anything, I can't see us paying $12,000 a speed hump. I think by putting them in maybe for 6 months, which I'm not thrilled about, but if you put them in for 6 months, it might stop some of the through traffic, since they don't know that it will be only for 6 months, and we can see how that works.
I agree that I don't think the speed humps are going to affect the motorcycle traffic at all. And the ATVs, but I also heard, and I think this was from a policeman I was talking to, that you put them in for 6 months. He says after about 3 to 5 weeks, he says you won't have that through traffic. He says they do that enough, and they don't. It's no longer a shortcut to them. So maybe the temporarily having these there, as you know, will be inconvenient to all of us. But maybe temporarily having them there will stop this being a shortcut. Thank you.
Eileen, are you, have something new?
Is the temporary, if they put them in for a short period of time, isn't that only if the homeowners commit to paying for it?
No, they're almost suggesting that we do just that, just what was just said, that you go forward with the temporary one and hopefully that cures the problem and you can remove them after 6 months and you're done. One problem though that we're not talking about is it'll affect the golf cart traffic too.
Okay, does anybody else on the board have a comment? Before I go to the
I just
audience?
want to tell John, you and I will discuss those four-wheelers later.
Donna?
Well, I do know that when they did put the temporary ones out for a while, for about a week and a half, things did slow down, but now that they're gone, they're back to full force. So I don't know that a 6-month temporary thing is gonna be the answer. I mean, they've got different sizes of these things. We don't have to go to a big one, but something.
Okay, Leonard.
I'm Leonard Leidig. I live at 10620 Encino Court. I have to deal with the traffic every day. If you guys don't put speed bumps in, it's ridiculous. There's constantly cars going way over the speed limit. There's been numerous crashes where they've rolled. And it's 35 miles an hour. 30.
30, yeah.
I listen to it every day. I don't care if they're $12,000 a piece. There needs to be some put in. You gotta slow these people down. Temporaries, only gonna work for the 6 months and they'll be back. Sit in my yard one day for 24 hours, listen to the noise. And I've been yelled at and tried to be run over numerous times in my golf cart. I don't care if there's speed bumps or not when I'm in my golf cart.
Okay. Ellen?
Hi, Ellen Baldwin, 10602 Springwood Drive. Okay. I think at the entrances coming into Timber Oaks is where the speed bumps would be, because a lot of it is pass-through traffic. And that would stop them from using those roads to get onto Ponderosa to pass through to another entrance. I just think we might look at that and and that would stop people, oh, I'm not going down that road because I have to go through all these speed bumps. Rick, you look like you're not understanding what I'm saying.
I understand what you're saying, but the only problem with that is they aren't going very fast at that point. Once they're moving around
They are
Ponderosa.
going fast in those areas. I do see them coming in fast. But even so, I think we do need some type of deterrent to stop the people coming in and just speeding around like crazy. And they do try to run everybody over that's on the golf cart. Thank you for listening.
All right, thank you, Ellen. Dale?
Dale Thompson at Cheetah Drive. When I started this a long time ago, I gave up on it because I got so much bad feedback from people with bad backs and everything else. First of all, it's not humps or bumps, it's humps, which are the lower ones. The main reason I just got up is to tell you, I wanted this to happen so nobody gets killed going out of Monterey. The last yard sale I had, a woman came, she bought stuff from me, went to go out of Monterey, hit a motorcycle. This was only about a month or two ago. My problem is, if I need an emergency vehicle like you brought up, I want them to get there as quick as I can. But let me just tell you, I back up to Ponderosa and the way them cops fly by there, 2 and 3 at a time, one behind each other, not even slowing down by Monterey. I don't want somebody getting killed by an emergency vehicle when they're trying to come and save me. And that's what, I'm surprised that hasn't happened. We need something to slow down the emergency vehicles going through here.
I live in Monterey. Anyway, my suggestion is this. For one, there's 2,000 people who live here and pay taxes. So I think the speed humps are okay, is an okay thing, but I think lowering the speed limit to 25 and putting stop signs at all main entrances, like three-way stop signs like we have down when you're going out on 52, might slow down some of the traffic for the simple fact that people will get tired of waiting in line for the traffic, and then that'll take care of a lot of that. That's why I think putting stop signs would be cheaper, a lot cheaper. I used to work when they made signs. And so I know that they'd be cheaper than your speed humps. Plus, if we're taxpayers, for a few short amount of time, having some sheriffs in here monitoring some of this traffic would help people start saying, hey, wait a minute, we don't want to go through here because we got cops all the time. So these are some of the things I think. We're taxpayers. There's 2,000 homes in here, and I think that they should be able to do something to help us out. They do it in other communities. They have them down in Newport Richie on your way to the back way. They have speed humps, but they've also lowered the speed limit, and I think that'll help lowering the speed limit.
Thanks, Dave. Karen?
Karen Luciola, Casuarina Drive, and to your thing about the officers, Pasco County is number 64 at the bottom out of 67 counties in Florida for the amount of personnel we have with the sheriff's department. They do not have extra personnel to leave in Timber Oak, so that's not going to happen. But I believe for the safety, the health, and the well-being of our community, we need them. But I also would like to encourage someone to write an article in the Timber Times. I have elderly neighbors with leadfoot disease, and they need to slow down also. You know, I mean, it's just not outsiders. We've got some serious issues in here with people, and I would love to see the speed limit reduced, and I would love to see the three-way stops. I don't care if we have the speed humps. Also, I think we need the speed humps desperately. Thank you.
Thank you. Donna?
Well, I just wanted to make one comment that he was saying about getting the police officers. I saw some stopped over on the side of the road one time, and I was like, they were at an accident, and I said, this is why we've been saying we need you guys in here. He's like, we've got it, but yet we're still having this issue going over and over. They'll come and sit out here with their lights on at night in an open area where anybody coming through is going to be able to see that they're there, and they still don't slow down, and they won't go after them. So having more officers is not necessarily going to help.
John, they're talking about putting that up for 6 months. At the end of 6 months, before they're removed, must we make up our mind whether or not we're keeping them? Okay, so before the 6 months would be up, we would have to then decide. Okay, so I would like to make a motion that we have this.
Thank you, May. Brian Champagne. I live in, where do I live? No, Capri Villa. Anyway, I live right there on the corner of La Madeira. And somebody ran through the bushes, as you guys know. Yeah, and so I sit there and watch people run the stop sign, but flying up as soon as they come around the corner. So I think a speed bump there would deter them, or at least slow them down. I noticed too, the traffic light coming in from 52 used to have a flashing yellow, but they don't now. So it's always a line of people coming through. Anyway, I'm just saying I'd advocate for that too.
Thank you, Brian. Rick?
I like Dave Teller's idea of stop signs. I hadn't thought of that. We do have one of the intersections coming in where there's 3 stop signs, but the rest of them ranch, it's only one stop sign one way. And if it was the other way, that might slow people down, at least some there. And also on the other 2 entrances, where we might want to look into that, stop signs. And I think as to whether, I don't think you automatically go into speed bumps from the temporary. I think at the end of 6 months, they remove the temporary, because that's what they are, temporary. And you decide, if you decide beforehand, they might get in right away. But I think, you know, you can also wait a month or two and decide. So I don't think we're under pressure there. Thank you.
Is there any other discussion? Let's call for a motion. You want to do the temporary for 6 months? Yes.
I'd like to make a motion that we allow the temporary for 6 months.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, we have a vacancy. Dave?
Can we look into the price of the stop signs? Because I still think it'd be a lot cheaper. And it would deter people from, after a while, they're gonna say, wait a minute, but the lines are long, they're gonna go another way. And well, I know they run stop signs, but I think sometimes you got people that do stop. I stop. And I think it would also help because like we were talking about Monterey, that over that, that's a blind spot, and they do fly over that. Maybe that's another good place for stop sign. I still say that and reducing the speed would be cheaper than the speed humps, but I'm all for the speed humps, you wanna try it, but I just think that's my opinion. Check into the price of them, a lot cheaper.
Okay, thank you, Dave. Go ahead, Bill.
On them stop signs, we cannot put stop signs in. We tried that one time out here in the parking lot. And the county come out and told us, these are our roads, these are our signs. They're ours, not yours. So we can't put up stop signs.
I don't think he's talking about us putting them in, Bill. He's talking about getting the county to install them.
Well, the county will have to do a traffic study and all that.
They did that.
And I think we'll find out they're very expensive. It's a good idea. I hope it works.
Okay, our discussion on that issue is closed. We voted and we're moving on. Okay, our kitchen manager has given us a letter of resignation. And so we need to replace the kitchen manager. Pardon? Oh, yeah. We need to vote to accept her resignation.
I move that we accept Diane Hovick's resignation. She gave us several years here where she oversaw all the operations in the kitchen. Her health now prevents her from doing that, and she's given us a letter of resignation. I move that we accept it.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so okay, I talked to Patrick Blizniak. He's qualified to be the kitchen manager, and he said he would do it. So I would like to submit his name.
I so move, and I'll add that Diane Hovick also recommended him.
Okay. And any other?
Second.
Any other discussion?
Barry asked if he was certified. Yes, he is.
Yes, he's certified. Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you,
Opposed?
Patrick.
Carried. Thank you, Patrick. Okay, we have some legal correspondence that we received. like to read this to the board and to the audience. This is from, our attorney received this letter. It says, "Dear Mr. Arias, our firm has been retained to represent a group of owners within Timber Oaks community. This letter is written to you in your capacity as counsel for Timber Oaks Community Services. Specifically, our clients are owners who regularly use the wood shop amenity within Timber Oaks. As you may be aware, the wood shop amenity was originally housed in a room on the corridor opposite the auditorium facility. However, after many years in that location, there were issues regarding the noise and dust created by the presence of the wood shop in that location. Therefore, as part of the expansion and modifications of the existing clubhouse facility within Timber Oaks, the wood shop was relocated below the auditorium facility. Since that date, there have been complaints regarding the noise created by the wood shop impacting use of the auditorium, such as that the use of the wood shop has been restricted, giving preference to activities occurring within the auditorium amenity. As you are aware, my clients have every right to use the wood shop amenity to the same extent that the other owners have the right to use the auditorium amenity. The fact that the association relocated the wood shop amenity below the auditorium removes all opportunity for Tosca to complain about its location or the noise generated by that activity. To be clear, our clients want to be good neighbors and members of Tosca. However, there is neither a factual or a legal justification for treating their activities as a subordinate or as an inferior use. In furtherance of an amiable resolution of this matter, my clients have offered two proposals. First, the parties would split the use of that area of the clubhouse, such as that each party has approximately 50% of the house between 7 a.m. and 10 p.m. each day, 7 days each week for the duration of the calendar year. A second alternative would be the relocation of the woodshop facility at the expense of Tosca. The details and arrangements for that relocation would be worked out between the parties. However, until that relocation is accomplished, the usage of the woodshop would continue subject only to quiet time provided for a meeting of Tosca. The foregoing is not meant to be an all-inclusive list of possible resolutions. However, we did want to provide a couple of alternative solutions short of the free and unrestricted use which is available to our clients as a matter of law. If Tosca fails or refuses to recognize the problem which it created by relocating the woodshop and the need for a lawful resolution, which affords my clients equal use of their amenity, we stand prepared to litigate this matter to its lawful conclusion. If your clients have questions or suggestions on resolution, please do not hesitate to contact me directly. We welcome the opportunity to resolve this matter amicably. Thank you for your prompt and personal attention to the foregoing. Sincerely, Stephen H. Metzer. Discussion.
There was a email that went around, apparently because we did not reply to this during their time frame, and I was unable to open that. John, can you tell me what their second, what they said in that, or?
I don't have a copy of that email on me, but it was, I think they were just expressing frustration that the board hadn't responded.
Well, the board couldn't respond until we had a meeting about it, so.
There was also a threat of further action, I believe.
I have, my understanding is that all the amenities that are here at the grace of Tosca. So in all reality, we are able to shut the wood shop down if this causes problems. And And honestly, there was talk of that a number of years ago because of the cost of the machines and all the costs that we put into the wood shop for very few people who use it. The other problem I have is they're asking for approximately 50% of the house between 7 and 10 p.m. They are shut down less than 50% of the time between 7 and 10 p.m. for meetings or anything else that occurs in this auditorium. So I see no reason for that. We talked about moving the wood shop out to where the maintenance building was and the cost for that, for new wiring. And of course, there was a bathroom that was wanted, that was turned down immediately. But just for the wiring and the air purification and everything that we put money into putting below the auditorium here was cost prohibitive. So I don't see where either one of those works. Actually, the 50% of the 7 to 10 is already being done. So I see no reason that that's a problem. And as far as moving it, we already voted against that years ago.
Donna?
We've got 2,200 families that live in this subdivision. And I think there's only probably about 20, if at the max, that uses that wood shop. And half of them have tools at their house. I would rather see the wood shop just totally closed.
Rick?
I've got,
Can't hear you.
I'm sorry, I turned that off while he was talking because I heard a rumble. I'm definitely against closing the wood shop. I guess my father was part carpenter and part upholsterer for the railroad. But it's a great hobby. A lot of people do it. I think more do it than what we think. I'd like to work out some kind of accommodation. I think the wood shop needs not to operate during like a board meeting, or if there's another formal meeting, or if there's live entertainment going on here or anything like that. I think we can certainly justify that. I would like to have looked into, are we requiring them to close when there's, like when they play pickleball or something, because I can't see why we would do that. But maybe we can get a better schedule. I was shocked after seeing this letter. We've had it for over a week or two. I drove around to the door of the shop, and as you walk out there and take a look at the unsigned by who, I don't know whether the board put it up or some neighbor from up in Newport Richie came up and put them up. I don't know, I can't tell. But, you know, there's things there of restrictions and like that, which I think need to be reviewed. I think this needs to be, if possible, ironed out, that we can continue with the wood shop, but that we don't have, you know, that the notice is put up, you know, when it cannot operate. I mean, if you got a choir practice here, I'm sure you can't have a skill saw running in the background. So, you know, I'm amenable to looking into this and trying to resolve a problem, but I'm not, and I don't want to close the wood shop, and I don't, you know, if they want to go, if we do all that and we go to court with it, you know, we should ask also for, you know, our legal fees and court expenses and stuff. But I don't think it has to get that far. Thank you.
I would be opposed to closing the wood shop. I think it should definitely be closed for the board meetings. We're down to once a month. I don't think that would kill them to close it during our time period. I think the rest could be worked on a schedule for them. Because those fans, when they start, you can't hear each other up here when they're open and they start working back there. I know that some other groups meet in here when they might be working there. I think, like Rick said, we could work out some kind of schedule for the people that meet in here. Maybe they could go to the porch and meet. I don't know. Or the people that are playing cards could play cards in the back, and the other people could meet in the porch. I don't know. It might make a nightmare for Debbie. But I think something could be worked out with them. They don't need to use that wood shop 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. They could come back at certain times and use it. But I think it should be posted when it would be closed so that the guys know when you can, or the girls, whoever is using it. So, but definitely I would not close that.
I
don't think anyone really wants to close the wood shop, but to have a lawsuit put against us because of the amount of hours or time that they're restricted in using it, I don't think we restrict them in using it that often. And I believe that it's not allowed to ask them to shut it down. We have not closed it for chorallaires. We never have. If we would have a concert, which is 4 days a year, 4 times a year that there's a concert through chorallaires, then yes, it would be asked to be shut down. I don't think the board has been unreasonable asking them to shut down when we have done so. It is also the board's right to do that. They regulate the hours for it. And to be honest with you, I'm quite upset that they would bring a lawsuit.
Go ahead.
Just one quick additional question. I guess since we opened up the clubhouse 24 hours a day, that the wood shop's open 24 hours a day, is that correct?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Michelle Saccone. I live in Spanish Gate. I would never use a wood shop. However, I don't want you to take away their right to. I do believe that you have a right to limit hours and also to look at who is meeting in here and finding out, we have a lot of nice rooms to meet in. Not that many meetings need this size. If there's something like a dance or whatever, they should have advance notice that you're closing it. That's all we should really do. I don't think we should start canceling them because they took a bad step here, going to a lawyer. But I do think they have a right to say, this is something we've enjoyed here and we'd like to continue. So don't get angry with them. Instead, see what you can work out as a whole and let them enjoy Timber Oaks. We enjoy other pieces of it. Again, I'd never use that, but I don't want you to cut out a room or something that I do enjoy using. Thank you.
Well, they're all events are posted every month. The calendar is put out. And so they should have notice whenever there is something going on in the auditorium. Okay, and
Anna Singa, 14116. You mentioned the calendar. I think our calendar in the Timber Times could be utilized better. If Corliers is going to have a week of practice between 4 and 6, maybe those hours could be posted. If there's, like, whenever there's events in the auditorium, the pickleball players can't play, and they're used to that. They just accommodate what's going to happen in the auditorium. People would need to schedule and just be put on the calendar. And then the people in the workshop could just see, oh, gee, there's a meeting in here this day, or there's practice this day. Maybe I'll wait until they're finished. I just think that it could be resolved by utilizing our calendar better.
go ahead.
Sue Muniak, on Versailles Lane. One, I don't know if the board realizes it, but there is no way the board alone can eliminate an amenity. It has to be voted on by the whole community. So that is not a good plan. I am totally believe that the wood shop should remain open. And my next suggestion is either use the calendar. And one other thing, in our bylaws, the board has the right to kick anyone out of anything that is in this building or at anywhere if they say it's needed. So there's I know it can be frustrating if they're in the middle of doing a project and there's a board meeting, but they should be able to realize when there is an activity scheduled.
Thank you, Sue.
I'm Rob Sitneski, 10539 Farnham Court. Is there, and maybe this has been looked at already, but has anybody thought of soundproofing the wood shop to prevent the sounds from transmitting through both ceiling and walls? I've been involved in some of those projects. It takes, depending on the frequencies of the sounds that you're looking at, it takes certain foam densities to prevent that sound from going through. And the second thing that relates to the letter, perhaps I think maybe that the people who generated this letter or this supposed possible court action mistakenly thought that maybe the board was trying to ignore the first letter. I think there was a first letter written out, and perhaps they mistakenly thought they were being ignored. I don't think that's the case. I think there's a communication problem here, and perhaps members of the board should sit down with whoever is some of the point people or point people who are in woodshop and discuss this.
Once they've retained an attorney, we can't meet with them. We'd have to meet with their attorney.
Okay, well, maybe you can at least initially go to the attorney and address, perhaps and mistakenly so, it was an oversight that this letter was never seen or communicated.
Thank you, Ron.
Here in Casuarina Drive. I think the soundproofing is great. And you know what I would suggest is that the woodworking shop make little doodahs and sell them at these craft things and raise the money for the soundproofing. There you go.
Thank you, Gordon. Bill.
All right. What started this was the board. A guy came down, walked into the wood shop. He had a clipboard with him and a tape measure. He started measuring everything. He wouldn't tell anybody who he was or what he represented. He wouldn't tell them nothing. So finally, one of the guys said, "You want us to help you measure this?" He said, "Okay." So then they started talking. He finally said, "I'm a board member." And then they asked him, "Well, what are you measuring for?" He says, "Well, we're going to put you guys from here over to the maintenance shop." He said, "Oh," and we asked him, "Why not? Why?" "Well, Live Oaks ladies wants this room for storage. It's a lot closer, a lot easier on them." Okay, that's fine. So a couple of our guys went out there and measured everything. Come to find out, we like the idea. It's bigger, it's almost 400 feet more than what we've got now. So we were all for it. Well, when we came back, the stuff started hitting us. They made the rules that you can't hold wood in the wood shop. You can't have it there overnight. You can't have personal tools, stuff like that. Well, if any of you know anything about woodworking, you know that when you go to buy woodworking, they are very expensive. And there's very, very many of them that you have to have. So really, all we had to do was sit down and talk about it. And there's nothing really to this. Because we went over there and looked, and we saw you got one light. You got one 110 circuit. We got 3 machines that take 220. We got a piece of machinery in there. It's taller than that place is. But we can still use it. We like to have it. But these idiotic rules that you can't have wood in the wood shop. What are you supposed to use if you don't have wood? And they said we had to take it back and forth with us. So if any of you know anything about wood, you lay out your pattern for a piece of wood and you get all the parts out of it that you can't. On account of, if you got say a tube of 6 and you got 4 parts in it, you cut those 4 parts out. That does not mean that those 4 parts are the first ones you put together. They may be the 8th. So what are you going to do with it? You're going to take it home, and then when you need it, you got to go back and get it, drive it to work. That's ridiculous. So there's really not that much damage done. And the part about the people using this room, you get 4 or 5 people, a small committee, they come and tell us, well, you got to be quiet. Why? There's plenty of rooms around here. The core is we don't run when they're singing. The board meetings, we don't operate. Bingo, we don't operate. Most everything else is fair game. So that was the problem. And you also got to realize we got a couple of guys that's got PTSD. If you know what that means, then you know it doesn't take a lot for them to get upset. But that's all they do. They just get upset and they holler and scream. But you still got to be careful of it. So really, that's all there is. So it wouldn't take much to settle this. Thank you.
First off, when you're saying it was the board's fault for this, that wasn't this board. We never attempted to move the wood shop. As a matter of fact, I believe it was this board that said we were not moving the wood shop because of the cost. The wiring in the maintenance building would never be able to be used for the wood shop. That would all have to be done. There is an air filtration system there that is there to get rid of all the dust. That would have to be moved, and there are machines that are too tall for over there. So that was not feasible for us to do. Granted, it was 400 feet bigger. As far as keeping wood there, I think the majority of that was because there was a sale of some kind of wood that was supposed that you wanted to be stored there. Bill, you came to me and complained about putting a 10-foot or 12-foot 2x4 in there, and when you went back, somebody had cut it. That's who's responsible for that. If you leave wood there or you leave something you're working on there and someone does something, who is responsible? TAXA? No.
But
I'm saying that you have blown it out of proportion, and Corliers has never asked you to not run when we're singing. There is a meeting of 4 or 5 people. You are never asked to turn your machines off. They can be moved. We have been reasonable in what we ask. I don't think we ask for. You're asking for 50% of the time between 7 and 10 p.m. You most certainly have that. Every month you have that. So to post a frivolous lawsuit, which is what I consider this, is totally wrong. This is your board, this is your community, and you post a lawsuit against us instead of coming and trying to talk to someone, which no one did.
Well, in the first place, you don't know what you're talking about.
Well, let's agree to differ on that.
You go out there right now, there's piece of paper on the door that says, anything that's left here after a certain time, it will be stolen. And that's exactly what happened. I bought a piece of wood, 8 foot long, 8 inches wide. I had a project. So when they put that notice on the door, somebody came in, looked at the wood, and took it. They cut a foot off of it. Well, that ruined my project. But the bad thing about it is I paid $13 a foot for that piece of wood. And he took a foot. That's the stuff we run into when you put those kind of notices on the door. That's one of our main complaints. is when you put-
Even without that notice, if you left the wood in there and somebody came in and thought it was available to use and used it, that has nothing to do with that.
Why would you think that if you didn't buy it?
Where are we going with this? Come on.
Barry,
What's the point of this?
Barry,
Let's move on.
okay,
I have a comment.
go ahead, Rick.
Yes, excuse me, I have the floor. This is more complicated than it really is. I think if we, number one, get the attorneys to allow us to talk, and then try to get together and work out a set of rules, have, somebody sit down, at least one board member representative, maybe some others there, and work on the rules and try to get the rules down to reasonableness. I think this can be worked out. I think this is a workable, something to be worked out, and I agree. Let's move on and let's try to go that route and get the attorneys to allow us to talk, because right now, if we're not supposed to be talking with each other, it's pretty rough. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to Rob, did you have one more thing to say?
I do have, and thanks for taking me on the second time. Passions are starting to get a little high here, and I think what Rick just said is everybody needs to talk. What if I can make a suggestion to the board here that they ask John to do an exploratory investigation, exploratory cost of what it would cost to soundproof that room, get some cost available, send a letter to the lawyer who drafted this letter to us, stating that we are proceeding, we do recognize his client's motivation behind this, and you are taking appropriate steps. I think this is, as Rick has mentioned, it can't be a us versus them thing. I think it's easily solved. Get some dollars to see if the soundproofing would work, and maybe that'll solve the entire, the entire problem. And it'll also generate some dialogue between the people who want this done and maybe through the lawyer and the board.
Okay, thank you.
Only one person talks for 3 minutes, right? Stick to the rule. One person, 3 minutes.
Okay, moving on. We have another lawsuit where we have been a party. And this lawsuit, they agreed to drop it and they dropped us off, but they want to avoid paying our legal fees. We think that they should pay our legal fees. And so at this point, we need a motion from the board that we maintain and get our legal fees for this nuisance lawsuit.
I make a motion that we continue and to get our legal fees that we have put out from this lawsuit.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye. Yeah, John. Pardon? This lawsuit is, for $3,500 in legal fees.
John, how much of this is confidential? I know it's marked that.
You want me to just give you a quick summary of it? So, there's two homeowners in one of the Chateau villages that had some property damage due to what they're calling negligence of the HOA, and their beef was with the Chateau condo that they're a member of and not with Toxa. That's why Toxa was dropped. But legal fees, this has been going on for about a year, maybe a year and a half or so, and the attorney representing Timber Oaks in this matter is going to pursue the legal fees that's due to Timber Oaks if the board agrees to do so.
Have a motion, have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, open spaces, possible bench installations and landscaping. John?
There's just been some conversation lately about maybe installing benches around the Ponderosa Loop and maybe doing some landscaping at some of the entrances. I don't know much more detail than that, but that's the topic that's come up.
Is there any discussion? I think this was brought up at the last
It was-
meeting for some benches.
Yeah. It was brought up at the last meeting during open forum at the end, and we kind of discussed it, and I think it's a great idea. I don't see any reason why we shouldn't. We talked to John about it, maybe doing some open green areas, putting 3 benches in. Is that right, John? Are we talking about 3?
Yeah, we would get approval if you're suggesting to putting them on county property or one of the condos, we'd try to get approval from them and pick out a bench and.
Okay. I make a motion that we approve putting benches around the loop on Ponderosa. 3 benches.
Well, we would need some assistance in picking out the bench. If you Google benches, there's a lot to choose from, and they range from $49 to $5,000.
We also talked about the benches. I know most of you know about the ones that have the cement on either end, and then instead of putting wood through, they put the plastic wood or whatever through. And that's what we were looking at. They aren't the most beautiful ones, but they will not be stolen, which has been a problem with us over there. And so that was what we were looking at. John, you said that was probably on the low end.
That was a high end.
The cement was the low end?
If you're getting something with the concrete ends, the closest thing I can find is about $900 plus shipping.
Shipping? That go by pounds?
They're not, you can't walk into a store and buy them that I found. They're all on the internet, and the ones, like I said, comparable to what we have. I can't find what we have, but comparable to what we have, it's in the neighborhood of $900. The ones that we bought that are at either end of the building have plastic ends, and they're about $49.
How heavy are they?
They're very light.
So they could be thrown in the back of a pickup and disappear.
Jerry? How about if we table this and look into costs of benches?
Which one do you want?
Yeah.
Okay, now what you all been waiting for, the board vacancy. Yes, make a motion.
Make a motion that we table the benches on Ponderosa.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we have 3 people that have signed up, come to the office and put in their name for the vacancy for the board. Chris Dabrowski, Bonnie Lipsky, and Leonard Lyden. Board will vote by secret ballot. Okay, go ahead. Just grab the microphone. Oh. Will those candidates stand up so people know who you are?
Who they are?
Okay. Okay, this is Leonard, Bonnie, and Chris.
Ed? Hey, Ed, I got a question.
Sure. Go ahead, Bill.
Yes, we had election here not too long ago. We had the people to cover it. Why are we doing this again with two people that didn't want to be on the board? So they didn't put their resume in. I don't understand this kangaroo justice that we're using.
The board selects someone to replace. That's the process.
Are you gonna recognize?
Eileen, you have something to say?
Yeah, because I thought, I asked that it be open to everybody, because sometimes there's people that, it's a one-year position, that they have decided that they want to try it out and see if they like it. And maybe they'll run again. I think there's other people in the community that may want to run for office. The more the merrier.
Okay, our members of the election committee will count the votes and announce the winner.
We already voted, so.
We ask questions, we allowed to ask questions.
You can ask a question.
Okay, my question is, I knew there was a seat open that Larry vacated, whatever. Why was that not put on the ballot so the whole community gets to vote for the board member? And now it's being brought up and just 7 people get to vote on it. I don't get that.
Well, 7 people could have voted on it when Larry left.
That's right, so why didn't you? But once
We
we
didn't.
had, and what
I've
happened?
explained this before.
Okay, I missed it.
We didn't vote to fill the position because whoever filled the position would be bound by the rule that you can only serve 2 terms. By waiting until after the election, the person will be able to serve this term and then they can serve 2 full terms.
But had,
Because it's not a full term.
but had you not put it on the ballot when the whole community got to vote, would it not have been the same difference?
It would not have.
No, because it would have been a whole year, which would have, if, it would have cut them from serving 2 full terms after.
So now when you appoint them, they get 2 full terms and then another 2 full terms if they're reelected?
No, when they're appointed, they get half of it, half of 1 year, a partial year, and then they can run for 2 terms after that.
Oh my goodness. I must have blonde roots, because to me it doesn't make sense. I think you should have put it up there generally like this.
Okay, let's do a vote.
The doc, you have to read the document. Yeah.
Just for your information, there was a tie, so we will vote again.
We have a winner. We would like to welcome Chris Dombrowski up to the stage.
Before we do Chris, I think the whole board would like to thank the other two people who put their names in to be candidates. Thank you.
Read it.
You gotta turn the button in the middle, on top, no, gotta be so the green light's on.
I, Dombrowski,
solemnly affirm that I have read the Declaration of Affirmation and Restricted Covenants, the Articles of Incorporation, the bylaws, the current written rules, the policies of the Timber Oaks Community Services Association Incorporated, and will work to uphold such documents and policies to the best of my abilities, that I will faithfully discharge my fiduciary responsibility to the association's members.
I do.
Congratulations, Chris. Okay. Motion would be in order to adjourn. And open forum. Motion to adjourn. We have a motion to adjourn. So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Carried. Open forum.
Okay, I'm trying to resolve all my problems with these fines and.
Please speak in the microphone.
Well, I called you and you didn't like how loud I talk, so I'm trying to talk quiet. Now I have another one here that's a final notice. And I did remove, it was actually a tarp because the neighbor next door since November was watering every day with his grass, and I put this tarp up and, now he's not watering, I guess, because his time is up. So, but I did have, this wasn't a part of it here, that I took all this down, put it that way, but I have a, brown screening that when I talked to you when you first started, Ed, I asked you, what can I do about this area here? Because it's my air conditioner, blah, 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 and my door, and all this stuff is just debris is just like piling up. And you said that, well, they have these special things you can buy with the screening, so that's what I did. It was $65. I bought it and I put it up, and it really wasn't a part of the other thing, but they're acting like that's a part of it too. I've had that previous. Yeah, you did, because you told me to have screening
They
that's
have
made for it.
what's called a screen around your air conditioning. That's not
No, that's not
that
what it
kind of
was.
screen. That's a.
No, that's not what I mean, because down the street on Benton, the corner house has the same thing. They put it on so all the debris doesn't come into your, because I have my patio there and everything like that, and he has rusty water, he was watering, and his whole thing looks really crappy over there, and there's all kinds of debris that keeps coming over. And I don't want to get all my stuff ruined, so I was asking you about that on the fence, if I could put something on there, so I bought this, and it like goes the same, it's like a nice looking thing, it goes the same. And that wasn't the problem that they were talking about, because they have arrows here, that it was a tarp I had up, because his rusty water was hitting our cars and stuff, because he doesn't have his system regulated that it stays on his property. And I talked to code enforcement, and they said part of your responsibility is to keep your sprinkler on your own property, but his is just spewing way too high in the middle, so that's why I put that up. It was a tarp, and I took it down, so that's what I'm trying to tell everybody. So I'm at my final notice, and my problem is I can't talk to anybody. I go in the office and I want to just hand a letter for the board or email, so then I decide to email, but I don't think you're getting your messages, because I never have anybody call back, and that's my problem. I can't talk to anybody because nobody gets my messages, so I don't know what to do, so that's why I'm here.
If you have a discrepancy with what is there, take pictures and turn them in. If it goes to finding, they will look at it and they will determine whether or not it complies with what you need it to do. As
Right, well,
far
that's what I'm
as
asking
anything
now.
we get from any emails that are sent, John forwards those emails. But if it's the same thing we've spoken about before, I know I don't answer it. And if it's something that I'm not really responsible for, I will not answer it. That will go to the finding committee.
Well,
If you have, if you take pictures into the office and they feel you have complied with what was being fined, it will be stopped. If not, it will go into the finding committee and they will determine whether to continue with a fine or not.
all right, but I took it down, that's what I'm saying. So I mean, I took down what was up that they were complaining about, arrows. And then I have another thing with, besides this, they said that my lawn didn't look good or whatever, but I never even start doing anything till April, because all the trees and everything, they're going down, they all go in my grass and everything like that. And I'm trying to figure out, is that okay now too? Because I never got anything else with that. But I don't even start anything until April, but they made me start in March, which I got a letter for pruning this and that, but I never got anything else after that. So I'm assuming they looked at my yard and everything's good, because usually if you drive by my house, it doesn't look like it's haphazard. I always have everything.
If you didn't get the second notice, I guess I wouldn't worry about it.
Okay, well, I don't know when they're gonna send it.
2 weeks.
Okay, so what should I do about this then? I have to do more?
Bring pictures to the office showing that you corrected the problem and it'll disappear.
Dale Thompson, Hachita Drive. First of all, I'd just like to mention that it wasn't the manager of Timber Oaks that did go to the county about the speed humps. We finally got that going, and I'm happy with that. I also want to thank the people that.
Yes, it was, because I asked him to.
Well, then at some point, maybe.
Because residents called me and asked, and so I asked John to go to them.
Okay, well, maybe it had been brought to the county way ahead of that by me myself. I can tell you that right now. But anyway, getting back to the rest of the subjects. The idea of Facebook gets put down a lot. A lot of people complain about it. To me, it's a good place for the residents to be able to actually talk to each other and find out how everybody thinks about different things. It's a lot of times insinuated that a lot of us women are a problem on Facebook. And it's not always the women. A lot of it are men that I just recently blocked 2 of them because it just got to the point where I took the high road and decided to just not let them hear what I have to say so I don't hear what they have to say. But when a man goes on Facebook and tells 2 women that they need to go over to the villages and get laid, I think that's pretty damn sad. And I'm not even sure, never mind, I'm gonna drop that. But I would like to know if there's any way at all I can find out who did have a problem with my golf cart in the yard, even though the letter was ripped up and thrown away, but somebody did it and I don't believe it was Linda. And I'd like to know if there is a way that I can find out who did it. I'm not gonna retaliate, I just wanna know which one did it. Oh, I'm sure it's one of the one over this, it has to be over the smoking incident.
It was not, Dale, it was Linda.
It was Linda?
It was Linda. Came through as a regular violation.
Linda came through Monterey and looked in the back of my driveway and decided to write up my
You have to
golf
look in the
cart.
back of your driveway, Dale, I could see
The
it.
car wasn't on the driveway.
Yeah.
No, it was in the garage. I'm trying to make room for both of them. But the picture that I got sent was in the front of my house. The car was sitting in front of my house. So they had to be looking down my driveway. It wasn't taken from Ponderosa. So,
It looked like the cart was off the driveway into the yard.
yeah, it was a little off the driveway, so I could get the car in and out without having to move the golf cart all the time. I didn't know there was any kind of a restriction. I see golf carts parked all over the place all the time. I had no idea that there had to be a certain place for your golf cart. But besides that, now that that's over and done with, I do have to question, since you said it was Linda, that was another reason I wanted to ask. I know recently when everybody was complaining that Linda gets paid a lot of money and doesn't really do her job right, and you took away the green cards and all of that good stuff. Now I'm trying to figure out just how long she is gonna get paid, because I've never filled out a green card, because I don't want to do to others. If I get upset because somebody does something to me, I don't want to turn around and do it to somebody, another innocent person. But there are things in here that really bother me. And there's some mailboxes, without even mentioning any names, there's some mailboxes in here that are god awful ugly. I was told a while back that after Donna and Jerry and them rode around with her, she was gonna start doing certain things each week or something. Like one time it would be rust on the driveways, one time it would be cars up on bricks, one times it would be something else. It doesn't seem like that's working out still. Why isn't there a way that, and I don't want to be warned that, oh, she's coming around on Tuesday, so don't park your golf cart on the grass. But I would like to know what she is really supposed to be looking for, and why a lot of us get letters for stupidity things that make no sense whatsoever, when other people that I don't want to tattle on have something sticking out like a sore thumb that there's no way in the world she can miss.
This is something quick, and it's mainly a concern because of our water, if everybody knows, the lake is low. And the last time the lake went low like that, the fountain plugged up and it cost us money. Could we not shut it off until the lake goes back up? I like the fountain, don't get me wrong, but I don't want to see it going and then we gotta pay to have it fixed. And the lake being low, mud will get up in there and it'll damage the fountain. So I really think the fountain should be shut off till we get some more rain. That's the only thing I got to say.
Do we need to do that?
The fountain only needs about 4 feet of water to operate in. It's easily over 6 to 8 feet deep out there now where the fountain is.
We'll keep an eye on
We don't have streetlights in Forest Green. We only have our yard lights. And we still have colored lights in them from the holidays. And I would like to see that they're removed and that the bright, the regular light bulbs put back in, because that's the only lighting we have on our streets. And we're only allowed, Christmas colors or, St. Patrick's Day, Valentine's, or whatever, our regulations say only a certain amount of time. So I don't know if you want to consider making a rule about that, but I'd appreciate it if we had some light going down the streets there. Thank you.
I don't know if we even regulate that. We'll check.
Thank you.
Bill Evans, Benton Drive. Just wondering what the bench is, if you think about putting garbage cans there for us walkers that go around. We pick up stuff, there's nowhere to put it. Also, the people walking dogs, they have to carry the bag full, they can put it in the garbage. It'd be nice if somebody's sitting there and they take their drink and put it in the garbage, Okay.
Also, since it is an open forum, I would like to say thank you to Clive for everything you have done. You have turned around and done anything we have asked you to do and put in a lot of years here. So thank you so much and good luck.
Okay, we're done.
Thank you all for coming.